Morning, Bear Nation. Welcome. Let's get a little sun in our eyes. We're going to do the whole brief like this. Does this work for you? Fabulous. Thank you for being here. 104,000 of you. I appreciate it. Please continue to help us grow this train wreck of a show that we do here at Bear Independent by liking this video, subscribing if you are not currently subscribing, and sharing this video out to those that you think that need to see it. Shout out to all those platforms out there that are sharing this for us as well. Watchman News, the Prepping 2.0 podcast with Shelby and Glenn. Man, there's so many of them. I appreciate y'all for helping us get the word out. If you got a spare dollar, I would recommend getting signed up on Patreon. If in the event that they pull the channel here and we need to go full blown, well, Patreon's not underground, but it's a secondary option to YouTube, and there are tertiary options. So check us out on Patreon. Also recommend you get signed up for the newsletter at bearindependent.com so that if we have to jump ship, go somewhere else, you'll know where to find us. Yeah. Intel at bearindependent.com. There's a lot going on out in the world right now. I would recommend that if you have actionable intel, you send it to the dance monkeys at intel@bearindependent.com so that it can help a lot of people, as many people as possible. Good intel. Not, I heard about a sale on cat food over there at the Aldi's, but it was last week, so oh no, not good enough, or whatever. Real, like observed it with your own eyes, heard it with your own ears, so forth, so on. Bama Buckeye, good morning. So intel at bearindependent.com is your email address for that, as well as your silver linings. What's the good stuff that's going on out there in the world, in spite of the fact that the world's trying to melt on us. Okay. So this is Coffee Time with Bear. So typically we don't have a structured brief put together for Coffee Time with Bear, and typically this is Patreon only. However, in light of the circumstances, we do at least have an outline of a brief, and we do will you share your intel? Zal Sami looks like the type of person we need to smack with a 10-pound hammer. Rookie in training, bless you. However, we do have an outline. So the first thing I'd like to discuss is welcome to the screenplay. Yes, the screenplay. The expectations of what we have right now have been managed wonderfully by the big they. We have been saying for months, if not a year or so, that this election is going to be a crap show. Guess what it is? We've been saying that the results were going to be contested if Trump did not win in a landslide. Guess what? We're here now. We've been saying we know that the Democrats were going to participate in voter fraud. We're here now. We've been saying for months, if not a year, that there will be violence in the streets during the election. One of my, you could go back a year ago, there's a video in 2019 of divine numerics in the coming world war here on this channel. And I was talking about election November 2020. Well, here we are now. These expectations have been managed perfectly. The script is being followed perfectly. The screenplay is rolling right along. And it's part of why I would advocate deeply that we not get too involved in what the screenplay is, emotionally wrapped up in it. It's orchestrated. It's been orchestrated for a long time. you can make the argument that, well, it's been orchestrated by the enemy, the father of lies. And maybe we read that Vigano letter a couple of days ago, the apostolic nuncio to the United States, former apostolic nuncio to the United States. And he certainly couches what's going on right now in terms of good and evil. And one could make that argument. But this has already been written. If we're going to make that argument, I can show you where it's already been written. Take heart, my brothers and sisters. Matthew, the book of Matthew 24. And going out, Yeshua, Jesus, went away from the set-apart place, the temple, and his taught ones, the apostles, came near to point out to him the buildings of the set-apart place. And Yeshua said to them, do you not see all these? Truly I say to you, not one stone shall be left here upon another at all, which shall not be thrown down. And as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the taught ones came to him separately, saying to us, when shall this be? And what is the sign of your coming and the end of an age? And Yeshua, answering, said to them, take heed that no one leads you astray. For many shall come in my name and say, I am the Messiah, and they shall lead many astray. And you shall begin to hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled. For these have to take place, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation. That nation right there is the Greek word ethnos. People group against people group. Race war. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. These kingdoms are states and countries, political landscapes. Norpray, thank you. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be scarcities of food, and deadly diseases, and earthquakes in diverse places. What if we talked yesterday about how the enemy is an imposter? All he can do is try and copy the Father's perfect plan. He can't offer you salvation. He can't offer you actual provision and blessing and security, fulfillment, quality of life, a divine purpose. He can't offer you any of that. But let's just go through that. Kingdom against kingdom, nation against nation, and there shall be scarcities of food. Well, it's easy enough in today's day and age with global supply chain logistics to create scarcities of food. Just give me that, whether they're real or not. And I believe that they are. Make it happen or let it happen. Just jump with me into this rabbit hole. Scarcities of food and deadly diseases like a global pandemic with a 99.8% survivability rate and earthquakes in diverse places. One word, and I'm just thinking out loud here. Fracking. It wouldn't be too terribly difficult to manufacture that particular Matthew 24:7 proof of concept if your goal was to get a whole bunch of people completely riled up to act chaotically, Hegelian dialectic, to create the thesis and the antithesis so that you control the synthesis. And all these are the beginning of birth pains. And I'm not saying that's where we are, but I'm saying what an interesting concept If you had a planet full of global elites with essentially unlimited, unchecked power, it wouldn't take too much to create the veneer of Matthew 24, verse 7. Race wars, state wars, scarcities of food, deadly diseases, and earthquakes in diverse places. And all these are the beginnings of the birth pains. And then they shall deliver you up to affliction and kill you. And you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many shall stumble, and they shall deliver up one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise up and lead many astray. And because of the increase in lawlessness, eyes to see and ears to hear, eat clean. And because of the increase in lawlessness, 1 John 3, verse 4, what is sin? Sin is lawlessness, and he who does sin does lawlessness. I'm not talking about man's law here. And because of the increase in lawlessness, the love of many shall become cold. But he who shall have endured to the end shall be saved. And this good news of the reign shall be proclaimed in all the world as a witness to all the nations. And then the end shall come. And I would hit you with this as well before we jump into insurgency. Joshua 1, verse 9, which so many people love to quote. I've seen this written on murals, painted on paintings, carved into wood, hung, printed on signs, hung around churches, seen it on t-shirts. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid nor be discouraged, for Yahweh your Elohim, the Lord your God, is with you wherever you go. Amen. But how about some context? That is the end of the statement, not the beginning of the statement. Let's read from Joshua 1, verse 6. Be strong and courageous, for you are to let this people inherit the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and very courageous to guard to do according to all the Torah which Moses, my servant, commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, so that you act wisely wherever you go. Do not let this book of the Torah, this instruction, this user manual for people, depart from your mouth. But you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you guard to do according to all that is written in it. For then you shall make your way prosperous and act wisely. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, nor be discouraged, for Yahweh your Elohim is with you wherever you go. So, is there an insurgency? Yep. Is the world crazy? Yep. Are things going to get interesting? I think they're already interesting. But remember, we must pay more than lip service to our Creator if we're going to make it through until the end. If your goal is to hear, well done, good and faithful servant at the end of an age, yeah, these are scary times. And yeah, men's hearts will fail them. That's why he's already told us what to do. Guard to do and be strong and courageous. So this screenplay, the expectations of this contested election have been well managed. The expectations of violent action have been well managed. The good versus evil, or us versus them dichotomy, has been incredibly well managed. There is this messaging from the leftists of a coup d'etat, a military coup, a political coup. In fact, more so political. I haven't heard much at all mentioned about the military, but we all know that during the Obama administration, many high-ranking officers who would not go along with orders against the U.S. Constitution were quietly, or sometimes not quietly, removed from their positions of command. Tons of riots last night. Amen. Tavar 7, good morning. Good morning, Kelt. Good morning, everybody in the chat. Shireen, Alex, Courtney, Zach, Kia, David Campbell, what's going on? So, Vester Dillon, good morning, Vester Dillon. Jeffrey's here. JC Fouts, good morning, JC Fouts. Andrew's here, and Michael, James Matthews, Joseph Fatal. That's all right. Your mom probably made some really good meatballs. Now I'm thinking of New York. Yummy. If you're listening on the podcast, we appreciate you. Rate, review, 5 stars, all that bull crap. Understand that I'm not talking to my imaginary friends. I'm talking to real people who are on the other side of the camera, who are in the chat. Prepper Days, what's going on? Hey, Mark Chase. Cowboy up. Embro, what's up, Embro? Aaron, Nurse Johnson, Bad Wabbit, Shalom, sister. Parakeet Salt, what's going on? That Caveman blend for the win. For the win. That stuff is smoking good. So we have this political coup d'etat messaging of the leftists to include deep embeds within Sunrise, Black Lives Matter, and Antifa. Stand by. You all right? All quiet on the Western Front. Good morning, love. How are you? I love your bare feet. Can I please show one of those to the people?
Still on my foot?
I don't know if you can get your foot that high, but I would enjoy trying to see you do it. Or seeing you try to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the slipper that my wife is walking around in. So this is what is sticking out from underneath the bottom of her house coat right now, or her robe. So it's time for you to go get your mani-pedi, honey. This is a little extreme. So good morning, Badger. Wolf Mother, it's really happening right now. It's happening. You're a real human being. These things are happening. Good morning, babe. Caleb, good morning. She stole your slippers. What else is new? The boat captain? She's rough like that. She's rough. Except that's what my feet actually look like. All right, back to what we were talking about. So we've got Sunrise, BLM, and Antifa that are being very clear in their messaging. In fact, they say, have you noticed this in leftist talking points? Let's be clear. Let me be very clear. I'm being clear. Let's be clear. I hear the word clear over and over and over again. When they say that outwardly, overtly, whatever they're fixing to say, they're going to do the exact opposite of. when they say that covertly, inwardly, they're almost virtue signaling to their own people. It's like, verily, verily, I say unto you, truly, truly, I say unto you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one jot, not one tittle shall pass from the Torah till all be done. Truly, truly. It's like, let me be clear. It's the same thing. But depending on the company with which they're using that phrase, it means two different things. Same statement, two different meanings. When talking amongst themselves, it's a verily, verily, truly, truly. When talking to us, messaging overtly, it's a we're fixing to do the exact opposite of the thing that we just said. Let me be clear. You can keep your doctor. Huh, bullshit. Right? So, but they are very clearly in their own internal messaging, as we've seen from these leaked Zoom calls. Thank you, Patriot Plumber, for putting me onto those. Greatly appreciate it. Although the girl who narrated the video that you sent me, I think is an automaton. I think that she's one of those children from the It's a Small World ride at Disney World that grew up into a person-sized robot. But I digress. Those leaked Zoom calls, we've seen there that they're, let me be clear, they are 100% talking about a political coup. So if they are openly speaking about a political coup, what does that look like? They, as we've discussed previously, have key people in key positions ready to take over right now, regardless of the actual election results. Let me restate that. They have key people in key positions right now, ready to take over, regardless of the election results. They have determined this is the course of action they are going to take. Remember the screenplay, the smoke and mirrors. And as stated previously, I don't believe that Donald J. Trump was the intended winner of the 2016 presidential election. We delayed whatever was going to come by 4 years. They certainly don't want it delayed any further. The veneer of civility of the way that they do business is fracturing and crumbling and falling away. There's been a lot of things that have come to light during the Trump administration. Again, he is appointed, not anointed. We worship the anointed one, which is what Christ means. We can respect and should respect the appointed one. But I'm not trying to sit on the dude's lap, okay? However, I do believe that the big they, did not want Trump to win, and that has delayed their efforts significantly over the last 4 years. Well, they're pulling out all the stops to make sure that he does not win again this time. And we are not going to delve into the situation with the ballots today for two reasons. One, I'm overwhelmed with it. There's too much information on it, and you can get that information elsewhere. Two, it's not necessarily my bailiwick. And so I don't want to be giving y'all subpar information. However, we are going to stick with some things that are a bit more my bailiwick. And so now that we've laid the groundwork here, welcome to the screenplay, the expectations of a contested election, the expectations of violent action, the us versus them and the good versus evil dichotomy, and that type of messaging, the coup d'etat messaging of the leftists, political usurpation of the existing power structure in Washington, and then the insurgent actions of Sunrise, Black Lives Matter, and Antifa. We're going to look at 4 groups in an insurgency. But before we do that, we're actually going to do 2 things. First is I'm going to drink a sip of this coffee, because coffee is love. Disastercoffee.com. Your life might be a train wreck, but your coffee doesn't need to be. Disastercoffee.com. And I am a train wreck. Thanks, babe. I love you too. It's great to see you. Hope you slept well. Trim your damn toenails. If you want to come over and do the show with me, you're welcome to. I got a guest seat right here next to the AK. You got bedhead? Me too. I just got it covered up. You want to borrow this? I mean, look at this. Look at this. This, woof. See this? Look at this. There we go. Perfect. This Nazarite vow is going great. Look. Look at this. Wonderful. Looking good. All right. Let's talk about the turd. The tactical universal retention device, also known as a rubber band. Now, on utility retention device, thank you, Brother DR. On this particular here, Cubkit Pro, we've got a rubber band on it because this is the first one that I ever made. But we're now using bungee cord, shock cord on the side of these to hold the tourniquet on. But this is the Cubkit Pro, and I want to show it to you because the world's getting a little apocalypsy out there, more so than it's been in my lifetime, perhaps. And here we have the bare minimum, which is a purpose-built blowout kit, made in America, guaranteed forever, handmade, right? And it's an incredibly high-quality kit and high-value kit, but it's a little bit too much for children as far as the contents go. And it's also, for some people, perhaps a bit out of their price range. So because this is made by Americans, we pay a living wage to our people, and so the price reflects that. This is an overseas manufactured pouch. This is a Condor pouch. Condor is airsoft gear. No, it's not. This is a very high quality pouch, and we put this together by popular demand for people who said, Bear, I need a kit for my children, and I can't spend $2 on a minimum for every one of my kids. Understood. Well, then the next thing that I did was I took the Cub kit. I was like, that's a cool kit. Let's make it better. And so this is the Cubkit Pro. This is literally, I would go to war with this thing. Not the red one, but, you know, what do we got? OD green, coyote tan, black, red, gray, and navy. Black, red, and navy as well. So this is the red one. Obviously, you got a Gen 7 cat tourniquet, stays right here on the outside of it. You got your 7 1/4 inch North American Rescue shears here. It's got this buckle release like so. It's a zipper pouch. Oh, I'll grab the wrong zipper. There we go. Opens up like that. It's got all your, wow, that's super washed out. There we go. It's bright out here. It's bright out here. It's got all your stuff inside of it. So you got duct tape over here, nitrile gloves, nasal pharyngeal airway, 2 5x9s are in here. You got your quick clot, roll dressing, high fin chest seals are back here, the whole 9. And then down in the bottom, you've got a SWAT T, stretch wrap and tuck tourniquet, also incredibly useful for making pressure bandages, including with those 5x9s that are up here. And then you've got compressed gauze for wound packing, and you've got your 4-inch fold flat North American Rescue trauma dressing as well. These are cool because they're freaking flat, and that allows them to get in this kit in such a way that the kit will actually close. And so this started out as a kit designed for children, to be affordable for parents that wanted to have a kit for their kids to go to school with. And it has evolved into, the Cubkit Pro has evolved into something that literally we will provide to law enforcement, sheriff's departments, because it has that much capability in it. And so don't let the name fool you. It's a hell of a kit, and it's affordable for what's in it. I would put this kit up against every other freaking kit out on the market in this price range and guarantee that we blow them out of the water. So You know, my medic, cool. We win. Trauma pack, cool. We win. Chinook Medical, we win. Dark Angel Medical, we win. We win, we win, we win. And of course, we always have our flagship products, Bare Fact and Bare Minimum, handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever. So you can get all that stuff at bareindependent.com and check it out. Check it out. Excellent. So let's talk about 4 groups in an insurgency. So over here, we have our tactics in counterinsurgency. And in tactics and counterinsurgency, we have leaders, we have guerrillas, we have the underground, and we have auxiliaries. And so I'm going to read a little bit from a particular document here for you about this stuff. And I want you to, as I'm reading, think about what you're seeing, who you're seeing right now in the news, operating underground, so forth and so on. Leaders provide direction to the insurgency. They are the idea people and the planners. They usually exercise leadership through force of personality, the power of revolutionary ideas, and personal charisma. Barack Obama comes to mind like that fast. Generally, they convey the ideology of the insurgency into objectives and direct the military efforts of the guerrillas. Understand that we're talking about a political coup here, and there will be at some point elements of the military to what we're discussing. But in this particular instance, you could in most places replace the word military with political, okay? In some insurgencies, they may hold their position through religious, clan, or tribal authority. Leaders who form the political core of the insurgency are often called the political leaders. Imagine that. Who wrote that sentence? They are actively engaged politically in the struggle to accomplish the goals of the insurgency. They all also make up a formal political party to signify their political importance. These political leaders are the driving force behind propaganda. Insurgencies based on religious extremism usually include religious and spiritual advisors among their political cadre. At a tactical level, units may identify leaders as IED cell leaders, political, religious, or social leaders who direct the propaganda and nonviolent efforts of the insurgency, or as business leaders who provide extensive resource support to the insurgency, as well as other roles. Guerrillas. A guerrilla is any insurgent who uses a weapon of any sort and does the actual fighting for the insurgency. They may conduct acts of terror, guerrilla warfare, criminal activities, or conventional operations. They are often mistaken for the movement or insurgency itself because they are who you see. Black Lives Matter and Antifa are associated with the people in the streets, not the people behind the scenes pulling the puppet strings. They are often mistaken for the movement or insurgency itself, but they are merely the foot soldiers of the movement or insurgency. Guerrillas vary widely in size, makeup, tactics, and methods from one insurgency to another. They even vary widely within an insurgency, especially in each of the 3 phases of an insurgency, which we will get into at another time. Guerrillas may continue their normal positions in society and lead clandestine lives for the insurgent movement. So they have an outward-facing role and they have an inward-facing role. They have their overt, I'm Sally from the office and I really like kitties, and their covert, I like to put on a black mask and put bricks in a pillow sack and go and smash things and beat people. Guerrillas tend to organize themselves based upon the activities they will be conducting, meaning that you have command elements, ground forces, and within those ground forces, traffic control, people who are conducting information and misinformation, people who are actively fomenting violence, people who are functioning as an auxiliary, people who are functioning as medics, so forth and so on. Guerrillas tend to organize themselves based upon the activity they will be conducting. Those focused on using terrorism usually operate individually or in small cells and are often armed with explosives instead of weapons. Guerrilla bands historically have lived in remote areas and conducted raids on host nation government infrastructure. We're not there yet here in the US, but give it time. Historical examples of guerrillas include the Maquis in World War II France, the Viet Cong in the Vietnam War, and the Mahdi army in Iraq. The underground, and I think the underground and the auxiliary are two of the things that are highly missed by us, the big us. Those that can see the writing on the wall are familiar with what the insurgents are trying to do. We know that there's leadership. You don't have to go far to come up with a really good list of who the leadership is. And we know that there's guerrillas. You don't have to look real hard to find out those either. But the underground and the auxiliary is going to take some thinking. So put your thinking caps on, people. The underground is a cellular organization of active supporters of the insurgency, which may contain an element that works for the host nation government. Let me repeat that. The underground is a cellular organization of active supporters of the insurgency, which may contain an element that works in the host nation government. Sunrise, deep embeds, the deep state, political appointees, government contractors. Active supporters of the insurgency, which may contain an element that works in the host nation government. Keeping the nature of their work for the insurgency secret is often paramount to them. They are more engaged than the auxiliaries are, and they may at times be guerrillas if they use weapons or conduct combat operations. They operate in all areas, especially in areas denied to any established guerrilla forces and where operations are not suitable for guerrilla forces. You can't get Antifa into a sheriff's department, but you can get somebody that doesn't look anything like Antifa embedded in a sheriff's department, the underground, and extrapolate up from there. DHS, Border Patrol, DOD, DIA, CIA, NSA, NRO. Let's play the alphabet soup game. They conduct clandestine, covert, and overt operations, sometimes infiltrating the host nation government. Members of the underground often continue in their normal position in society, but lead second clandestine lives for the insurgent movement. Some insurgencies are unique in that they conduct most of their political activities inside the underground, while a different section trains recruits, maintains the propaganda campaign, and helps in population control. Population control is a phase that we should all get very familiar with. The underground may spread propaganda, support sabotage, assassination, and subversion, support intelligence and counterintelligence operations, run safe houses, provide transportation, and manufacture and maintain arms and explosives. Be thinking about who's the underground. They're out there. Glock 316, good morning. And then the auxiliaries. And by the way, let me give you this. Maybe from about 30 minutes onward in this video today will be the type of thing if somebody had eyes to see and ears to hear, and they understood that for every insurgency there's a counterinsurgency, it might be worth taking some notes and ask yourself, who are your leaders? Who are your guerrillas? Who is your underground? Who is your auxiliary? Just saying. 3%ers standing by. It's really hard to accomplish your goals when everybody you know is wrapped in multicam and acting like a cool guy, because it's not, the guerrillas are the most overt portion of this. They are not just guerrillas. Like we said, the guerrillas are often confused for the movement or the insurgency itself. And this has been my primary issue with modern militia movements. 3-day rucksack full of stuff, and that's it. And that's it. Where's your logistics? Where's your command and control? Where's your provisions? What's your transpo like? What's your battle plan? Have you even figured out how to extract? What are your ROEs? Do you have a medical section? Do you have an intel section? Do you have a recon section? And are you set up like a spider, or are you set up like a starfish? What is your stated purpose? What are you trying to accomplish? Or did you just buy everything that was in the 511 catalog and get a couple of guns and say, hey, we're good to go? And I realize most people associated with the modern militia movement and the 3%ers are probably pissed right now. Good. Let your anger motivate you, because I don't want you to die. Where's your leadership? Where's your underground? Where are your auxiliaries? There's a lot more that goes into this than showing up at the square range with your knee pads on. Okay? Moving on. Auxiliaries. An auxiliary is the support element of the insurgency. Let us repeat. An auxiliary is the support element of an insurgency. Auxiliaries are active sympathizers who provide important logistical services but do not directly participate in combat operations. If they participate in guerrilla activities, they become guerrillas. Auxiliaries may work full-time or part-time for the insurgency and generally conduct safer activities than the underground. They often include women and children and other individuals that tend to be less scrutinized by counterinsurgent forces. Examples of auxiliaries include shepherds or street merchants that may openly operate near a counterinsurgent base and provide intelligence on that site. Examples of support that auxiliaries provide include store weapons and supplies, perform courier operations, provide passive intelligence collection, give early warning of counterinsurgent movements, acquire funds from lawful and unlawful sources, provide forged or stolen documents, promote and facilitate desertion of security forces, recruit and screen new members, and create and spread propaganda. So taking both sides of your brain and using them at the same time, or holding two thoughts in your brain at the same time, be asking yourself, who is the leadership? Who is the who is the leadership? Who is the guerrillas? Who are the guerrillas? Who is the underground, and who is the auxiliary with this American insurgency that's taking place right now? So hold that one thought over here, and then over here, be thinking about in your mags, your teams, your mutual assistance groups, your prepper groups, your contingency groups. Who is your leadership? Who are your guerrillas? Who is your underground? And who is your auxiliary? And how do those things work? And how do they work in such a way that doesn't betray you to your enemy? And understand, me even discussing this with you certainly puts me at a level of risk that the rest of you don't have to deal with. Because I create for myself OPSEC issues if I go too deeply into any of this. So understand, there's much of this I can only skim on, only touch the surface of. But I really, truly hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. And I really, truly hope that y'all are understanding that there's more to this than I got my rifle and my rucksack, I'm good to go. JC Fouts, Goza, good morning. Adam Mayer, bless you. And again, to reiterate, it's probably just a matter of time before this channel gets pulled from YouTube. Patreon, it's $1 a month or $10 a year to get started. I would highly recommend checking out Patreon. Plus, it's the beginning of the month. It's the best time of the month to get signed up because your dollar is going to get you, I mean, the next 27 days, I'm bad at math, 26 days of content. Plus, you can scroll back. There's like over 1,000 posts on Patreon. Just scroll back. Just scroll back, man. There's over, yeah, that's right. Literally half of all the content we've ever produced. If you're on YouTube and you've watched everything we've ever done, you've still only got 50% of it. The other 50% lives on Patreon. And we tend to go much deeper on Patreon than we can here on YouTube. So appreciate that. All right, moving right along. Let's see. Next thing I'm going to do is we're going to go down and look at foundations of an insurgency. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you guys and girls that if you got a couple bucks in your pocket, you need to go get a fluffy bun sticker from adventurefrontier.com. Why? Because I love them and they love us back. They are members of the Bear Nation. They're very good people. They do a lot to help people. They are employed in public safety. They're excellent human beings. And so if you need some body armor, cool. Get it from adventurefrontier.com. You need an IFAC, including one of these, you can get it at adventurefrontier.com. If you need some fluffy buns to just brighten up your day, adventurefrontier.com. Please and thank you. We have a lot of choices that we can make in today's day and age. There's a lot of places we can spend our money. I think the better we get at spending our money locally and with people who share our ideals, the better off we will be, because that's your blood, sweat, and tears, man. And you're just going to give it away to Zuckerberg, Bezos, Alphabet Corp. Yeah, I'd rather not. So, and onboard that in your own communities. Where can you spend your money? You want to spend your money as close to home as possible. It has the most impact as close to home. So Adventure Frontier is like home to me. AdventureFrontier.com. All right, foundations of an insurgency. Ba-da-ba-da, ba-ba-da-ba-doo-doo-doo. All right. Undermining host nation legitimacy. Let me just restate that right there. Foundations of an insurgency. Undermining host nation legitimacy. Insurgent efforts can damage or destroy both real and perceived economic and political targets. The loss of government services, overreaction by government forces, or the belief that the government is powerless against the insurgency contributes to the population's dissatisfaction with the government. Lessening of government control. By defeating small government forces, remaining government forces can be forced to consolidate in larger size elements or bases. This can reduce the overall presence of the counterinsurgent forces and allow an insurgent force to operate openly where counterinsurgent forces are not, even if for a short amount of time. This can create the perception that the insurgency is increasing its control or the government is losing its control or legitimacy. Providing psychological victories, foundations of an insurgency. Providing psychological victories. The guerrilla seeks to gain small psychological victories. These victories do not need to be significant in terms of material damage to the government or its armed forces. These tactical victories show that a small guerrilla force can defeat the much larger government forces. Tying up or blocking host nation government resources. By forcing the host nation government to expand resources on military operations against guerrillas, the insurgency seeks to tie up resources that could be best used by the government to provide services and development programs to the populace. You going to work?
Yeah.
What? Bye. I'm going to miss you. How can I breathe without you? I want to know. I think that's how that song goes. I don't know. Did they make a death metal version of that song?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Stay frosty, babe. It's crazy out there. Take the MRAP.
Hey, when
Yep.
Condor gets here, if somebody, I'll let the kids know to let me know, but if you see it,
Okay. Who's inside?
Nine and Bob and Asher.
Who's gonna be inside?
Nine and Bob.
Okay. Copy that. Because I've got underground utilities to do when I get done blah blahing at the camera.
Okay.
Good morning, Niner. See, you know, we're just a small family out here in the middle of nowhere, clinging to our Bibles and our AKs, trying to teach Americans about insurgencies and counterinsurgencies, trying to uphold the republic and maintain the legitimacy of this election. Real people, man. Real people. Tying up or blocking host nation government resources. Becca Fuller, shalom. By forcing the host nation government to expend resources on military operations against guerrillas, the insurgency seeks to tie up resources that could best be used by the government to provide services and development programs to the populace. Resources. War is a game of resources. There's only so many pieces on the chessboard. If you're moving some over here, that's ones that you don't have over here. Weakening host nation government resolve. By defeating small elements of the host nation's security forces and attacking government agencies, the guerrilla weakens the resolve of government employees and forces. Small government forces and agencies become aware of their vulnerability. Desertion, absence from work, willingness to compromise, difficulty in recruiting, or limitations on services to dangerous areas all benefit the insurgency's purpose. 3 words: defund the police. Intimidating the population. By attacking vocal opponents and certain types of individuals, such as teachers, the insurgents seek to frighten the population. Elijah Schaefer. Acquiring supplies and equipment. Guerrillas seek to acquire government weapons, uniforms, equipment, supplies, or vehicles. Remember that, because there are deep embeds already that are either working with elements within the DoD or are happy to co-opt elements within the DoD. Guerrillas seek to acquire government weapons, uniforms, equipment, supplies, or vehicles. Infiltrating host nation government and government forces. Don't worry, we're almost done, everybody. Insurgents will often attempt to infiltrate various government ministries and security forces by emplacing sympathizers and by converting existing members of those agencies, co-opting them. These infiltrators are used to gather intelligence and to subvert operations. And if one more person tells me I need to start sitting on the lap of Q, the 17th letter, because they're inside and they know it, man, put your hope not in man. Q's been co-opted. Have been for a long time. The end. Causing counterinsurgency security force overreaction. Since a co-in fight, counterinsurgency fight, is the fight for the population, remember that. Counterinsurgency is the fight for the population. Often the intent of insurgents using terrorism or guerrilla warfare is to cause a heavy-handed response to attacks on the part of the co-in forces, counterinsurgency forces, or the host nation security force. These responses will often drive the population to support the insurgency. I throw a rock, you throw a bomb, the bomb kills 14 people, and I say, see, they bombed us and killed 14 people because you overreacted to the rock that I threw. We're going to end there for today, since we're essentially an hour in. Taborosaurus Rex, what's up? I didn't know Rex was in the chat, man. So, boys and gerbils, just remember that these things are real. And depending on actions far outside of our control in the coming days, weeks, months, and possibly years, that you will see this play out on the national stage. You may see this play out in your backyard, and you need to be aware of it, which is why you and I are having these conversations. And I'm going to reiterate what we began with for those who have just gotten here. No man is going to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moshe, so I am with you. I do not fail you, nor forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you are to let this people inherit the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and very courageous, to guard, to do, according to all the Torah which Moses, my servant, commanded you. Do not turn from it right or left, so that you act wisely wherever you go. Do not let this book of the Torah depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you guard to do according to all that is written in it. For then you shall make your way prosperous and act wisely. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, nor be discouraged. For Yahweh, your Elohim, is with you wherever you go. Good morning, Father Yah. Father, thank you for being badass. Thank you for being sovereign over all things, including this messed up election. And Father, thank you for making it clear that we are not to worship these men and we are not to put our faith in these men, and that your will be done regardless of how we think, how we feel, how we act. And so, Father, I pray that you would just convict us to walk in your ways and to acquiesce to your will and to accept whatever your will is, and that you would strengthen us and empower us to do your will. Convict us to walk in your ways, Father. Father, if there's anything within me or within the sound of my voice that's not of you, I rebuke it in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, and I command it to flee. I pray that you would fill us up with your Ruach HaKodesh, your Holy Spirit, for strength and power and authority, for wisdom and discernment, for peace, for healing, for love and compassion, Father. Father, there are people within the sound of my voice right now that need healing, and so I lift them up to you and I place them at the foot of your throne, and I ask that you would heal them miraculously, unexpectedly, without any explanation. Father, work in ways that cannot be attributed to man, that are literally miraculous, so as to build testimony through us and by us, that we would believe, that others would see our belief, and that they would believe, that we would be a lamp that is not hidden under a basket, Father, but that we would be in service to your kingdom, and people would come to know you through us. Father, your spirit is moving. You are bulldozing all over the place, pushing and shaping and moving. And I thank you for that, Father. I am overwhelmed with confirmation daily these days, and I thank you that I get to see a small portion of what it is that you're doing. Father Yah, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for including us in it. And Father, I pray that you would just continue to steward and guide us. Thank you for making a way for broken people to come home again through the blood of Yeshua. Father, thank you for striving with us, and for teaching us, and for giving us a life and showing us how to live it. Father, use us for your glory and for your will today. I ask these things in Yeshua's name. Amen. Shalom, Bear Nation. Please continue to assist us however you may. Spread the word, because it's going to get weird out there. And remember, the Father's in control. The Father is in control. The Father is in control. And AKs are cool. Shalom.